Hello, welcome to this update. So let's see what's happening with the tropics and the surfy weather. So as you can see here, we have many new features. There's Barry that formed as tropical depression through yesterday, and it just turned into tropical storm Barry recently, a few hours ago. So it acquired some tropical storm force winds, mainly on the north side of it, and it's forecast to go into eastern Mexico as a tropical storm later today into Monday. So there are tropical storm warnings there on the coast of Mexico, and especially be careful, there's some flooding possible. There's some areas close to 10 inches, like to 150 millimeters in a spot or two, and more areas more than 100 millimeters. So please be careful, some flooding, landslides. Let's read it first in Spanish for them here. La tormenta tropical Barry producirá fuertes lluvias a través de porciones noreste de México, inundaciones y deslizamientos de tierra que amenazan la vida, especialmente en áreas de terreno empinado, son posibles. Se esperan condiciones de tormenta tropical, especialmente en ráfagas, más tarde hoy y esta noche sobre porciones del este de México, en la área de alerta de tormenta tropical. Muchísimas precauciones en estas zonas. So let's see here. There's tropical storm Barry producing heavy rain across parts of northeastern Mexico. Life-threatening flooding and mudslides, especially in areas of steep terrain, are possible. Tropical storm conditions, especially in gusts, are expected later today and tonight over parts of eastern Mexico in the tropical storm warning area. So please be careful in those areas, especially the flooding, but also some very strong wind gusts as this makes landfall. And as you can see here, there's Barry here, so some tropical storm force winds on the coast. But there's this big thing here on the other side. Can you guess what that is? That's another tropical storm in the Pacific that will pass dangerously close to the Mexico coast as well. So let's take a look now. There's like here, so Flossie, tropical storm Flossie. So it's there in the Eastern Pacific. Shows like it's expected to reach hurricane strength by tomorrow. So it might become Hurricane Flossie. Now the tropical storm force wind field is over the ocean, but it might approach land and kind of grow a little bit as it becomes a hurricane. So and it's expected to pass close to the Baja by Thursday, but then dissipate. So expect some rough surf, some strong winds on the coast, and some flooding too. So stay safe, especially this rainfall potential. Some 200 to 300 millimeters likely, like 10 inches plus. So please be careful in Michoacán de Campo, especially in those areas, Colima, Michoacán de Ocampo. So stay safe, like the heaviest rain right by the coast there, where it passes by. So please be careful. Let's take a look. Las bandas exteriores de la tormenta tropical Flossie pueden traer fuertes lluvias localmente a los estados Méxicos de Oaxaca, Guerrero, Michoacán, Colima y Jalisco hasta principios de la próxima semana. Inundaciones, deslizamientos de tierra que amenazan la vida son posibles, particularmente en áreas de terreno empinado. Una vigilancia de tormenta tropical está en efecto para el sureste de México y podrían requerirse avisos de tormenta tropical más tarde hoy o esta noche para una porción de la costa del sur de México. Entonces, muchísimas precauciones en estas zonas, principalmente los vientos fuertes, una mareada fuerte, unas olas muy grandes y corrientes muy fuertes y lluvia fuerte, inundaciones, más de 150 a 200 milímetros de lluvia en algunas zonas. So stay safe. Like we said there, the outer bands of tropical storm Flossie may bring some locally heavy rainfall to the Mexican states of Oaxaca, Guerrero, Michoacán, Colima, and Jalisco through early next week. Light threatening flooding, mudslides are possible, particularly in areas of steep terrain. A tropical storm watch is in effect for southwestern Mexico, and tropical storm warnings could be required later today or tonight for partial of the coast of southern Mexico. So please stay safe those areas. Be careful too. Now in the Eastern Pacific, look what we have here. This new yellow guy, because the GFS, like I showed you yesterday, was trying to form some more storms later. So they have an area of low pressure could form 700 miles offshore the southwestern coast of Mexico late this week. Some gradual development is possible. This system thereafter moves generally west-northwestward. So we do have another area to watch, but this might just go out to sea. But something that won't go out to sea is this yellow guy there in Florida. So let's see. Towards the end of this week or next weekend, an airflow pressure could have happened from remnant frontal boundary near or along the southeastern US or at Atlantic Gulf coasts. Some gradual tropical, subtropical development could occur thereafter, drift slowly just off the US coastline. So, in general, still a low chance of formation like this might not become anything, but it might. So, especially near the East Coast and some spots there. But I wouldn't worry if it becomes something or not. I would worry if the heavy rain there that there will occur that you will see in a minute. So be careful those areas. We'll check the models for the tropical storm soon. Let's just go over the severe weather. So shows like this slight risk today in Wisconsin, Michigan, into Iowa, and also slight risk from Missouri to Wyoming, northern margin on the East Coast. So we do have less than 2% tornado threat, and the main thing is like wind threat and hail in those areas, especially hail, the central high plains, and the wind threat. I think we won't get a tornado threat with this, it will be just wind, but in case there are any updates later today that include something, just check this link in the description, but I think it might remain like this. So let's see. Isolated to scarce strong to severe storms are possible from the upper Great Lakes into the central high plains. Wind is the primary risk, though hail is expected parts of the high plains. So stay safe in those areas. Be careful. There's still marginal risk from Texas to New Jersey tomorrow. This wide area going north into the Midwest and the East Coast. And there's marginal in California and Oregon too. So be careful. There's wind in all of those areas, some wind threat and hail. Actually, this is for hail in California and Oregon. So yeah, be aware in those mountains. And then the tornado less than 2% again. Scared to strong severe thunderstorms remain possible across parts of the Ohio Valley, Midwest, and Mid-Atlantic tomorrow, Monday. A couple of severe thunderstorms cannot be ruled out in the Pacific Northwest. So be careful those areas, especially some stronger storms. Be careful with also lightning and everything. So there's day 3 a marginal risk on the East Coast and Mid-Atlantic Northeast still. So isolated scared strong to severe storms, Boston, Carolinas, to the Northeast Tuesday afternoon and evening. So be careful in those areas, but especially today, the slight risk there in all those areas. So we do have this elevated fire threat in spots of Wyoming still in today's southwestern Wyoming, and tomorrow some dry thunderstorms possible and the elevated fire threat still. So let's see here. Shows like especially no big fire threat, just in California and Oregon, some isolated dry thunderstorms. And tomorrow's the same day of that marginal risk there in the northwest. So there'll be some strong severe storms, but some of those storms tomorrow might be like dry thunderstorms with a lot of wind. Those storms have very strong wind and lightning, but very few to no precipitation. So be careful in those areas too. Sometimes these dry thunderstorms can spark fires too, but we don't have any areas here for fires, but just be careful on some isolated ones possible. And yeah, recently these thunderstorm outlooks have been looking very funny. These many areas of 70% and yeah, so be careful those thunderstorms. And here there's like some scale discussions, alright? Alright, shows a watch possible there in the Midwest. Severe wind potential increases this afternoon. So be careful those areas and shows like in Canada. For Sunday, just a few storms in the central prairies there. Some hail, some heavy rain sometimes, some gusty winds. And a funnel cloud or two in Alberta to British Columbia. No, Alberta, this is Saskatchewan. In Saskatchewan, British Columbia, some isolated funnel clouds possible. Maybe a low-end tornado threat, but maybe some funnel clouds. So yeah, this like land spouts because tornado is a different one here. So be careful in those areas, but sometimes they use this. There were a tornado too. But in Quebec, it's moderate chance for strong to severe storm, especially central Ontario into southern Ontario. Sorry if I said Quebec, this is Ontario. So be careful. This is for Sunday, yes, Sunday to Monday, those areas. So in area A, some up to 90 km per gust and 2 to 4 centimeter hail. Be careful in area B, the similar thing, some 20 to 4 millimeters, some heavier precipitation. And still in area C, around this whole area here, some heavy rain and everything. So stay safe in those areas. Still for Monday, some stronger storms possible in Ontario. And Tuesday, some scattered storms, but nothing too crazy. In Quebec, just a storm or two far west in Quebec. Nothing to be worried about. But for Monday, does increase more across central Quebec, some heavy rain in a few spots. So be careful, northwestern Canada. A few storms possible, like some very small hail and some rain. Nothing too crazy. British Columbia, similar thing. So be aware. Those areas there's for the US here. The updraft holistic of those storms doesn't show anything too crazy, just across South Dakota into Nebraska, a few stronger ones with hail, Wyoming, even in Kansas, Colorado shows a few tracks there's some storms, so be careful. And yesterday was kind of wild. There were like gigantic tornadoes in South Dakota. I hope everyone is safe, but that was like absolutely wild. So, but hopefully today will be much calmer. No crazy tornado day, just some damaging winds to those storms. But you never know. Always stay weather aware. So here for significant tornado parameter, nothing really concerning. Just a few spots to like 1.1, but that's like very little. In general, less than 2% tornado threat, like they mentioned there. Even shows like in Canada like 1.0, but like those are isolated spots, and this is just one model run. So don't focus too much on those specific things, but you never know. Be careful. Always when there are stronger storms, so be aware. Does show like in the evening by 0 C spots of the plains, Nebraska, some close to 8.2 lapse rates, 7 degrees, like some 8 degrees. So some higher lapse rates there. Spots of South Dakota already decreases, especially Kansas into Nebraska. So especially there'll be more storms on Nebraska and those areas. So be careful. Some more buoyancy. Let's see where the cape is here. So like the mixed layer cape first shows in the evenings some spots to like 3,000 joules per kilogram across Kansas, spots of Missouri, close to 4,000. So be careful, especially Missouri. Those areas shows like here the most unstable cape is even higher to like 4,200 in some isolated spots. So stay safe in those areas. Let's just see the areas again here. So for day one, it's like this includes Kansas to into Missouri, those areas. So yeah, be careful in all of those areas. There's a lot of instability. So the model here does show like the her across those areas for later today. Shows in Missouri, especially some stronger storms. And then some storms do fire in the higher terrain there, just off the Rockies in Colorado, stronger ones in South Dakota, and there's this line of storms in Wyoming. No, that's Wisconsin, sorry. So in Wisconsin to Iowa might have that stronger line of storms, some damaging winds. They have the slight risk for that there as well. Some storms in Florida in the afternoon, some isolated stuff in the southeast as well, Mexico. So this goes industrial layer in the evening. This is actually kind of tomorrow, alright, but also like very late in the evening into the nights, possible small MCS or two spots in Nebraska into Kansas. So some stronger damaging winds possible, and shows later tomorrow, alright, into Missouri again and Iowa. Those storms remain. Does show kind of in the northeast some scattered storms tomorrow. Southern Canada, some more spots in New Mexico. New Mexico into Mexico are very active with those storms. Especially like these are more like the monsoon type, not severe, but always be careful those stronger storms. So stay safe in those areas. And here for like in Tropical Storm Barry, we do have some models here. There's this wild model I wouldn't even look at, but it's showing as highest category 1. But it's now Tropical Storm. The ship increases just slightly more on the winds, and other models just shoot in Tropical Storm and go down. So it's like a few hours away from landfall. It's very close to the coast already with a small wind field, so you won't go too much, but just be aware the flooding, the damaging winds. There's like the tracks here shows mainly into Eastern Mexico. There's this solo model that dives south, but mainly further into the east coast of Mexico. So stay safe in those areas. Be careful. There's tropical storm Flossie, very broad there in the Eastern Pacific, but it goes into a hurricane. The models are taking it close to the Baja and passing very close to the Mexico coast, those dangerous conditions there. Might go into the Baja or pass very near, but by that time it will be like a remnant or not tropical anymore. But just be aware there as well. The intensity guidance, some models are all the way to category 3, just one of them, and many models to category 2. So this will likely become a category 1, possibly a category 2 as well. So be aware, the Eastern Pacific, especially for rip currents and the flooding in Western Mexico. It shows the GFS here, this goes, and some models curve out to sea and others closer to the Baja, some different ensembles. So be careful, those areas. There's here like shows across the, let's see, Atlantic first. So this goes shows the floss in the Eastern Pacific. It goes there, and Barry is just like very dim there, barely appears. But it goes by July 4th. The GFS tries to form a low pressure just to the west of Florida there. This goes and kind of spins near Florida, but doesn't really become anything too crazy. But it might like briefly try to become something. So there's the zero Z European, this goes Barry and Flossie there, and then they show those storms scared in Florida, those areas. The European tries to spin this up near the southeast coast instead of the Gulf, but it goes there like this looks like very, very not tropical and disorganized, but we'll keep watching. There's the icon too. The icon tries to spin it up near the west coast of Florida by July 6th, so it gets some storms there. And the icon actually turns this into a tropical storm into the Florida Panhandle. So this is just one model run. Don't fall to that, but we'll keep watching. There's the Canadian. It tries to get something, but mainly some storms in Florida. Then it goes into the Atlantic, tries to become a low pressure for a short period of time in the Atlantic, but mainly just goes and dissipates. So the confidence still very low on this, but you never know. We might get something, especially near Florida. So we'll keep watching those areas, but the main threat here is for this rainfall. So shows like the European model, it has already there across Florida close to like 5 to 7 inches in the Panhandle in a few spots. That will be like some 200 millimeters on the European model, and like let's see, some 8 inches it has in a few spots, some 4 to 8 inches, even Tampa to 2 inches, Clearwater to 4.70. There's the GFS to like 4 to 5 inches in a few spots. The icon is further south, like some 7 inches on the west coast, and more spots to 4 inches. There's like These auto models are not long range. So yeah, please be careful those areas. And if this gets closer to like the southern coast of Alabama, be careful some 2 to 3 inches, so some areas there as well. And then this might drift away into the Atlantic layer. But please be careful in Florida next 5 days. 5 to 7 days because by July 6th and 7th, this might still be around. So be careful, especially by July 7th, 3 inches across southeastern Florida as this goes into the Atlantic there. So please be careful. Those areas by July 7th, the GFS lingers this over Florida with more than 5 inches south central Florida. So be careful. Some heavy rain, especially in like also in those areas of Mexico because the tropical storm shows here like in eastern Mexico because tropical storm Barry to 200 millimeters a few spots in eastern Mexico. The European model a few spots on the coast to 127. So stay safe, some flash flooding in those areas and some dangerous mudslides shows across the west coast, close to 100 meters. The European is kind of conservative on this rain on the west coast, but it has some specific portions close to 100 millimeters. So there's the GFS, kind of more aligned to what the National Hurricane Center said, to like 166 millimeters near the west coast of Mexico. So stay safe in those areas. The icons further out to sea, but it does show some spots in central southern Mexico close to 100 meters, and like western Mexico, some heavier storms too. But those storms are separate from the hurricane. But stay safe in those areas. Be careful, especially if like the GFS scenario is right and it reaches close to 200 meters on the western Mexico coast. So stay safe in those areas. And the GFS still wants storms in Nicaragua to 200 meters in a few spots. Just in the next 5 days until July 4th, more spots central to eastern Nicaragua into Costa Rica. So stay safe. The European also has a lot in Costa Rica, Nicaragua. So be careful in those areas. The Eastern Caribbean, some long tropical waves still, but does show Trinidad and Tobago into Guyana, Venezuela, some heavy rain. A few spots there in the Eastern Caribbean, some 11, 12 millimeters, some passing showers and storms. A few storms might be stronger, some thunderstorms, but nothing of great concern, just some passing showers and storms. A thing or two in Jamaica and Cuba as well. So be aware those areas and like stay safe. The general trend like in the US is like Mexico, Junior Mexico, possibly some heavy rain next 5 days. Florida, of course, in the southeast, but the western half is quieter. But rain over most of the eastern US into eastern Canada. Those storms, some 79 millimeters in Quebec, a few spots to 80 millimeters. Those storms in Ontario with slightly heavier rain as well. So stay safe in those areas. Be careful. There's still like those temperatures across central Canada, some 29 degrees, spots in Ontario still very warm. Does show slightly cooler on the western Rockies there, but like not northern Nunavut, kind of colder, but some northwestern spots warmer as well. Especially during the day, southernmost Ontario and Quebec to 30 degrees in a few spots, so quite hot still. Be careful in those areas. More spots there, central Quebec, kind of mild, and yeah, for southwestern Canada, hot as well. So especially like by July 1st, southern British Columbia, southern Saskatchewan, Alberta, some higher temperatures, central Alaska in the 60s to some high 70s Fahrenheit is central most areas, nothing too crazy, but warmish. The show central Canada there, quite warm. Tuesday, this goes, shows like southern Saskatchewan, even to 34 degrees. Be careful, that's quite hot already. More spots central Canada warm to hot, and still shows this kind of heat wave through like southern Saskatchewan on 36 degrees on July 3rd, and yeah, more spots in eastern Canada warm as well, in central Alaska and those areas. So Friday still shows very warm central Canada, those spots there. So So be aware in those areas for snow, not really much, just in the Western Rockies, a few parts of British Columbia and through Yukon, and Nunavut, like very little in some spots there, and more in the mountains in Alaska as well. So be careful. Those areas in the US still like to 114 the southwest today. So be careful in those areas, like some 90s across the west, 90s central plains, southern plains as well, and even to Michigan, the Midwest. So be careful in those areas. There's like during the night slightly less in the Rockies, but still like 87 degrees during the night is extremely hot. Please like stay cool during the night. Find ways to remain cool and don't like overheat, because if during the day is 116 degrees and during the night some 87, that can be very dangerous for you. So stay safe in those areas, because like from Monday, June 30th, tomorrow is showing to 116 degrees near Phoenix in Arizona, many spots to 115 in California, 113, nearly to 116 degrees. So please stay safe in those areas. Some low hundreds in Utah in the lower elevations, 110 southern Nevada. So stay safe in those areas. Please be careful. So shows some 90s across the east, northeast, and some 80s, 90s in the southeast. So be aware. Still like 90 degrees during the night, July 1st in Arizona. Please be careful. Some 70s in the mid south during the night, and what I do here. So here and day 4, like Tuesday afternoon, July 1st, is kind of better, but still to 113, but better than 116, but still like to 114 near California and Arizona, 100 in Washington, some 90s across Oregon into Nevada, to like 103 in Idaho, so very hot across the West this week as well. So stay safe in those areas. So 90s in the plains area, in the southeast. So stay safe. Still some 90s during the night in the southwest from Wednesday morning, and some 70s in the southeast during the night. And thus show for Wednesday, this heat slight transitions further east into the high plains. So 95 in Montana, July 2nd, so 90s there in the south as well, and still close to 109 in Arizona, the valleys in California, in the interior west. So be careful in those areas. Slightly less in the high elevations, but much higher in the low elevations. So there's Thursday, July 3rd, so 93 in Montana, 95 in the plains, even more, a few spots, so 90s in the south and east, and close to 100 in California, Central California, and 105 across Southern California. Still Thursday. Friday morning, a little bit less, but still hot during the night, plains south and southwest, a few areas. So there's Friday afternoon, July 4th, and might be a hot July 4th for many of you in the plains and in the southwest. So be careful. So 105, so 90s across the west, the southeast, and shows like Saturday, July 5th, still some 8 degrees during the night, Saturday morning, but still some 70s during the night as well. So be aware. There's like day 7, Saturday, July 5th in the afternoon, still 90s across big parts of the country. Texas trying to get to 100 against southernmost Texas, even possibly to like 103 or something, and still in the southwest. So stay safe in those areas, be careful those temperatures. And here, still some slight risk of excessive rainfall in Missouri, into Nebraska, and Kansas, and Iowa, so still be careful that heavy rain. Day 2 across central areas, Midwest into the south. Day 3 in the Mid-Atlantic, a slight risk. Be careful some heavy rainfall. And to New Mexico, Texas, spots of the Gulf as well, Northeast. Day 4 across the Southeast and from the Southwest. Day 5 is already the system brewing Florida. This is already a slight risk for July 4th, July 3rd and July 4th in Florida. I think by the time we get there, there might be a moderate risk or something, like more than 7 inches of rain is a lot. So please be careful. There's already a slight risk for day 5. And marginal spots to the southwest as well. So stay safe in those areas. Day 1 through 7, the National Weather Service close to 10 inches next 7 days in Florida. So please be careful. But these 10 inches might be accumulating passing throughout many days, not all the end of the week. So it will be many days, but still a lot. So please be careful in those areas. You can see in this map for Mexico, a lot across western terrain of Mexico. So be careful those storms, Quebec in eastern Canada, too. So stay safe in those areas. Please be careful. There's still some dangerous situations across the east coast, the southwest, even to extreme in Arizona. Monday, Tuesday across the northwest and the east coast. Transitions to Montana, July 2nd, July 3rd, more moderate to major in the plains, and further east later. So stay safe. That heat still. Be careful those areas. So stay safe. Just check if there's kind of anything else important. So still like for those storms today, those areas shows there in Mexico, those tropical systems passing very close there. Be careful the damaging winds, the flooding, and also next week the storms in Florida, the monsoon, the southwest, especially Texas and New Mexico, storms in Arizona a few days as well, but especially like July 2nd shows some more over the west. So be aware in those areas and showing storms in Canada too. This is July 5th. The European has a lot of activity further north. So be careful in those areas. And there's some wind gusts here too. Shows some spots there, like near the west coast as usual. More spots on the west, July 1st, and then July 2nd, 3rd. Nothing too crazy, just slightly higher few days with some storms, and especially like July 4th, slightly breezier in some spots, and later into the Midwest and Canada, July 6th. But it's still far out. We'll keep watching, and the storm near Mexico there, and slightly more wind in the Central Caribbean too. So stay safe in those areas. There's like some dust as well. So this dust is dominating much of the Caribbean, Florida, and even the Gulf there. So there might be some dirty rain in some areas because right now, Sunday, the dust is very thick there in Florida. So beware in the Eastern Caribbean too. Be careful with the visibility and like some air quality issues, and this causes some good sunsets as well. So yeah, be careful the dust as well. And yeah, so stay safe. There's just one more thing for Flossie here. Those tropical storm force winds along the coast and maybe close to hurricane force. So stay safe in those areas.